Hi, welcome to my craft room, and look what I've been busy doing. This is the thank you card that I have made for you for April for everyone that places an order with me. At the end of this video, I have the link to my website, so be sure and check that out. And I want to customize this for you. So on that little flag, I'm going to let you pick the verse that you would like stamped on there. This is the set Loving Thoughts that is found in our occasional mini. You still have one more month to purchase from that. Isn't this a great set? And all of these verses would go very, very nicely. I've chose the Wonderful You. That is what I've used on my card, and you'll see that at the end of the video. Here I've made dashed lines on our grid paper, but you need to work on a surface. I used to work with the newsprint, so whatever you have to work with, but you want to make a line and line up this whisper white panel then on the base of that line, and then you're going to take your ruler and 1/2 inch up, you're going to make a line on each side of this panel. And then you'll flip that ruler around and do the very same thing to the top. And I use the dado to secure this panel down. And then I'm going to put dado on each side of this panel. And I wanted that to really stick, so I went over that a couple of times with that dado. Then you're just taking some 12-inch scraps of paper that you have and place one at the top and one at the bottom. You're making a mask because we want to only have our ink going into the center of this panel. Really gives a cool effect. This is a card that I made a long time ago. I've just changed up the colors. I wanted to share it with you. I think it looks kind of springy. Okay, I'm back to sponging again. I love sponging. Tap off. This is really a strong color here, this Always Artichoke. And stay in the center of this because you're going to be putting other colors at the top and at the base. So go along the whole length of that strip with this Always Artichoke. Then we're going to bring in the Pear Pizzazz, and that's going to be along the base. And when you're sponging this, you're going to sponge off onto that scrap of paper. Just take your finger and kind of hold onto that paper so it doesn't move or shift on you, because you don't want that ink to go underneath that panel. I'm bringing this in so you can see it a little bit better. And now I am using the Bashful Blue, and that's a real light color. So you'll have to go over that with a little bit more pizzazz than you do with the other colors. Blend that into the center, into that Always Artichoke. Don't you just love this set? I purchased this when it first came out. I've had it a long time and I've used it many ways, and I'm going to show you a little idea today on using it. We're going to start that same color theme all over again. The first color is our Always Artichoke, and I'm aiming right for the center, right in between those two strips of paper. And you notice that the ink is going off into that top panel. That's what you want it to do, so that's fine. You want to put a space in between your stamping so that you can vary your colors in those areas. And just continue to go all the way down the length of this panel. Put a little bit of pressure at the top, because where that paper is, it needs a little bit more pressure. Okay, now we're bringing in our Pear Pizzazz, and you notice that I stamped off onto my scrap of paper. And this time we're going in to that opening that we've left. I brought my stamp down ever so slightly. You're going to notice that some of that ink is now on the base scrap of paper. And you want some variation here with stamping these trees. Don't line them up from the way you just stamped. Remove your strips of paper and see that white. Now we're going to bring in a new color, Wild Wasabi. And this time you want to look at the rubber to where it's hitting onto that white panel. You just want to barely stamp on that. That's what makes this so cool. So look before you put your stamp down, and that way you'll line it right up. Here I am using the square lattice embossing folder, and you'll notice I put Scotch tape on the outside of that folder. I'm lining up my strips of Baja Breeze cardstock with those pieces of tape. I've picked out a design that I liked for my edge, so that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm flipping it around to get that same pattern on the opposite end. I have 2 strips of tape that I'm using so that that matches up perfectly. Now you want to, I use snail, and now I'm holding one side up and gradually bringing it down onto that panel. This is our base card, and I'm making 3 little dashes at the folded edge. I want you to see that's the folded edge. When you're going along 9 inches of panel like that, sometimes it's a little bit hard to eye up. So I made those dashes, and I've put that Baja Breeze so that it is just ever so slightly covering up my dash marks. So they're totally covered. Can you see how that extends slightly off the one end, and then there's quite a bit on the other end? That larger part is going to go on the inside of our card. But you want to extend off both sides so that you're sure that it's perfectly matched up. Oh, my stamp-a-ma-jig, I love this. I'm stamping my verse onto the imaging sheet. And this little strip of paper here is the 1/2 inch that I cut off of the 8.5 inch off of my Whisper White cardstock. If you use the stamp-a-ma-jig, though, you can match this up with no problem. I'm stamping in a little bit of a distance from that edge, and now I'm going to fold this together, and I'm going to use the glue to glue that so that for our banner we want something that has a little bit of body to it, and the one thickness just would not hold up. Okay, and now I'm going to cut out my V with my snips. And because this is kind of thick, you can see that you have to be careful in cutting that out. Okay, and now I am bringing in one of the Regal Designer buttons, and I've chosen the garden green, and I've already put the Island Indigo Baker's Twine through that, and I cut 14 inches and doubled it over and put it through there, and then I have 2 little bows at one time. Cool? I really like the mini glue dots for adhering this onto my card. So that's what I use. But position that beforehand to find out exactly where you want it. I put 2 of the glue dots where the button is, and then 1 where the V is. I brought that down into my stamped image, and then up to where our Baja Breeze is. And the ink that I chose was the Wild Wasabi. And there's the link, so check that out. Anyone placing an order, this card will be sent out to you. Happy stamping to you. I hope you've enjoyed this video.